Now, let's try it again. How is everybody?
Good.
That's better. Oh, very good. I'm glad to hear it. And Mark is a much better preacher than I am, so absolutely. And John as well. So thank you for filling in on the announcements for me. You forgot the dad joke.
Oh, sorry.
Next week.
You're just superior to me.
God
Man.
blessed you with the blue shirt, so you're good.
Oh man, I got no, nobody wants to see that. Oh goodness. So how many of you know someone who's not saved? Oh good, I can go ahead and preach. That's good. If there was nobody, I'd just dismiss. But since we do, let's go ahead with this sermon. We might go fishing this morning. How's that sound?
We're fishing for a new battery first. Sorry.
I won't talk about
I'm just getting extra steps in. Oh, man. See,
it. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Thank you, sir. Thanks. Our reading this morning, we talked about Jesus calling fishermen. And I'm always amazed. He called fishermen and tax collectors. Probably the two most unworthy, untrustworthy people out there, right? Yeah, tax collectors, obviously, they cheated, and fishermen are liars. Right? Yeah. The last fish I caught, the picture alone weighed 7 pounds. You know? Yeah, fishermen are liars, right? We are. When he called, the people, they immediately, the word immediately is in there, left their boats and followed him. Immediately. Didn't hesitate. Sometimes we hesitate when the Lord tells us to do something, don't we? And that's all right. You know, there's plenty of people in the Bible who hesitated too before they jumped in and did what they were supposed to do. That happens. Whether you respond like this or you think on it a little bit. Well, you know, believe me, when God asked us to adopt 5 kids, I was like, oh, I didn't hear that right. Or you got the wrong guy, right? No, God doesn't make mistakes. Yeah. But then it worked out well. But when Jesus told Peter, who was coming in from a fruitless fishing trip, not that I've ever had one of those, he told Peter, back out and cast your net on the other side of the boat. And Peter hesitated. Like, oh, gee. He might not have expressed it outwardly, but you know what he was thinking. Because he said it, Lord, we've fished all night and we haven't caught anything. He was tired, he was hungry, he'd been dragging in nets all night long. They were heavy enough. Now you add whatever plants and driftwood and rocks and things that he pulled up out of there. He was tired after working all night. You ever been in that situation? Yeah, definitely. He didn't want to make another cast. But he said, okay, Lord, if you say so, I'll do it. And he makes another cast, and what happened? He caught fish. Bunches of fish. More fish than the nets would hold. The nets were breaking. He caught so many fish. Had to call in his buddies to help. Haul them all in, right? You know that story. But first, Peter didn't want to hear it. And maybe you don't always want to hear it when the Lord says, go tell them about me. Go fishing. Cast your net. Well, maybe you don't know how. Let's see what we can do about that. One time fishing with my oldest daughter, we were fishing a farm pond. It was just full of fish. It was great. And she hooks a bass, and she's reeling it in, and boom. No, I'm sorry, she hooked a bluegill. She's reeling it in. Boom. A bass hits the bluegill. And it knocks the bluegill off the line. You know, it was out of the mouth and up through the gill. So the bluegill goes up the line. You had to look at that face on Jen right there. Yeah. It wasn't as bad as it sounds. And then the bass hooked itself. So she's reeling in 2 fish at one time. Like, wow, this is amazing. They really will think we're lying when we tell this story. But it happened. She caught 2 fish on 1 hook. That's just incredible. Well, sometimes when we're witnessing, we're concentrating on this one specific person. And we reach this person, and suddenly they attract another one to Jesus. That's how it works sometimes. When Jesus talked to the woman at the well, it appeared to the disciples it was a one-on-one. He was talking to her. Well, she went back to her village and excitedly told the entire village, he told me everything I've ever done. And all of a sudden, all these people from the village, they come out and they see Christ and they believe. Caught more than one fish on that hook, didn't he? Yeah. More than one came to Christ because he reached out to one. You know, on that same fishing trip, she caught another bass, and it was a nice one too. And she's off to my right. Well, she gets it up on the land, and the bass flops off, gets off the hook, and it starts to roll back toward the lake. And she's over here, and she's got her fishing rod, and she's flinging it like this, and she's trying to get it, and I'm thinking, don't break that $119 fishing rod. There are more bass. But she got it. She didn't break the rod reel. And she's always been really good fisherman. She's my fishing buddy. And she gets that bass and she gets it back up on the land. Now we threw everything back anyway, but you know, she got to hold it up by the lip and take a picture and all that good stuff. So sometimes when we're fishing for men, they try to go back to their old ways. Like the fish tried to go back to the water. He was wanting to go back to what he knew, to familiar territory. You know, it's a fish. He wants to go back to water. But people, sometimes they'll be interested in the Lord. Sometimes they even come to Christ. They even get saved. But then sometimes they go back to their old ways. They fall back to what they know. They fall back to what is comfortable. It's like a baby with a dirty diaper. Yeah, it stinks, but it's warm and it's mine. Yeah, we tend to be that way sometimes, you know? We do. But she kept the bass from getting away. And our job's not done when we lead someone to Christ. We then need it more than ever. Because they don't know. They don't know Jesus from Judas. That's when we have to disciple them. Sometimes they'll want to run. And the evil one makes them want to run. He tells them the familiar stuff that we've been told. You can't live that life. They won't accept you. You're not good enough. All those lies. The father of all lies is one of Satan's titles, correct? He tells them that. Makes them want to go back to where they were. You know, Jonah ran, didn't he? Talk about a fish story. Jonah. Yes, Lord, I'll do what you say. Off he goes the other way. He went through a whole lot of trouble before he actually did what the Lord called him to do. Go to Nineveh and tell them that the Lord was ready to destroy the city. And Nineveh turned it around. People are like Jonah a lot of times. Yes, Lord, I'll do what you tell me to do, and then they run. They get scared. They run the other way. They don't want to live the Christian life. Because they don't realize that it's living their life anyway. They don't realize the benefits from it. They don't understand how good it is. That's why we irritably, then do so. Moses said, I don't want to go talk to Pharaoh, I can't speak. God didn't accept that excuse, did he? No. So, send Aaron to help him. Moses wound up doing the speaking. You'll be amazed at what will happen with people if you will invest in them after they come to Christ. Invest in them before, sure, but the job's not done yet. And we invest in them afterwards. And great things tend to happen. Had a girl in youth group. In fact, I had lunch with her this week, as a matter of fact. Her name is Ashley Wyden. Ashley, and we took the youth group fishing out at Woodlands. You know, the retirement home out at Woodlands. A lot of people don't know there are 3 ponds just over the hill there that are just full of fish. It's great. You almost always catch something there. I'll always catch something. I told Mark once that if I'm writing a story about fishing, I caught the most and the biggest. If you want to catch the most and the biggest, write your own story. Ashley, she didn't want to go fishing. She'd never been, and she was whiny. Oh my goodness. I don't want to go. I don't like the fish. They're icky. I don't want to do it. Come on, you go with us. If you don't like it, you can sit and watch or something. First few casts she threw out there, and then she hooked a bass. And she reeled it in, and I have a picture of her. I should have brought it to put up there. She caught her first bass, and she was grinning like a possum. I mean, ear to ear, she's holding that bass up, and she's giggling and laughing, and she just loves it. It was fantastic. So she's fished ever since. Sometimes people don't want to go fish, and maybe it's you who doesn't want to go fishing. You don't want to go witness to people. You don't want to go tell them about Jesus because maybe you're shy, or you don't know how to do it, or you feel uncomfortable. My buddy Melvin Cunningham, who played football at Marshall, was a really good high school football coach, and he tells his teams, get comfortable being uncomfortable. There's a lot of wisdom in that. This is an uncomfortable world, and it gets so more so every day for Christians. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because the enemy's not going to make it easy for you. He's not going to make it easy for you to tell someone about the Lord. In fact, he's going to make it as difficult as he can. And he'll love hearing you say, I don't want to, but I'm not equipped to. I don't know how to. If you don't know how to, stick around. Talk to John. Talk to Mark. Randy. Whomever. We'll help you. We'll help you learn how to fish for men. When Jesus called the disciples, they didn't know either, did they? Jesus taught them. And from those guys, we have billions of Christians today with that start. We can teach you to fish. And when you catch your first one, if you've never led somebody to Christ, when that happens for the first time, you're going to be giddy. It'll make your hormones bubble. It will. You'll just be so incredibly happy. It's the best feeling in the world. As a sports writer, I've got to cover some really cool things in my life. Bowl games, Heisman trophies, and all kinds of the All-Star game in Cincinnati. Just so many good things. Talk to people that Johnny Bench's. I'm sitting at home one day and my phone rings and I pick it up and it's a number out of Cincinnati, so I answer it. And Johnny Bench is on the other end. How cool is this? Johnny Bench is a catcher with the Reds, the greatest catcher to ever play. I mean, you got to do some cool things. Nothing compares to leading somebody to Christ. Nothing does. That's better than any of and all of that stuff. If you've ever done it, you know that experience. And if you haven't, you've got to do it. You will just, in heaven, the angels rejoice when someone gets saved. Imagine all those angels rejoicing over something you just did. Yeah, Jesus saved them. You let them. That's better than any celebration of any big fish I've ever. Another time I was driving back from Rio Grande, Ohio. And I had my tackle box and a rod and reel or two in my truck. It always did, just in case I got a chance to go fishing. I used to fish a lot more then than I do now. So I stopped at the dam at Eureka. It's up near Gallipolis on the Ohio side, Eureka. Anybody ever been there? Been by? Hey, there we go. All right. Well, dams are great places to fish. They are. And at this particular one, it's this way with just about all of them. The downriver side of the dam is where you catch fish, where the water churns and that stirs up the bait fish and stirs up things for the fish to eat. The downriver side is where you want to fish, and that's where I always fish. And so I go, and something just led me to go fish this side. I never catch anything. I've never caught anything on the upriver side of this dam. I won't even lie to you, I tell you I haven't. I've never caught a fish on that side. When I walk over there, my rod and reel in one hand, my tackle box in the other, and up against the rock on the bank, the water looked like it was boiling. There was bait fish jumping out of the water because they were being chased by bigger fish, and they were pinning them against the rocks and just feasting on them. All right, I like this. I cast my lure out into the water that's just boiling all over the place, and bam, first cast. Reel in a nice striped bass. Second cast, bang, reeled in a sauger. I stayed there and did that for, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes probably. And just about every cast I caught a fish. It was amazing. It was like literally fishing in a barrel. They were just everywhere. Almost every cast they hit. And that was a lot of fun. And then when it shut down, it shut down. It was back to the old upper side of the dam, no fish. It was, the catching was over. So, that's why we have to take advantage of the opportunity when we have it. Because when it was over, it was over. The person you're thinking of that is unsaved, you might not get the chance to ever speak to them again. Think of that. That's pretty sobering, isn't it? What a lousy feeling it would be, and I've experienced that feeling. Oh, it's terrible. Someone died and I hadn't told them about the Lord. That's hard. My friend Daryl in high school, we graduated. Daryl and I were good buddies. We were friends. We played ball together since Pee Wee baseball. And we've been really good friends all through school and such. And did the usual things. We chased girls together. Didn't catch any of them either. We did the things that usual teenage boys do. But, I was a Christian. I told other people about the Lord, but I never told Daryl. And after our senior year, this is maybe a month later, he was in a truck accident and he died. And I remember I heard about it at church on Sunday morning, and the preachers asked prayer for the family because their son had died. And then he said Daryl's name, and my heart just sank. My mom was sitting down in the pew a little ways, and she looked at me and kind of whispered, "Was he saved?" And all I could do was go. I'm hoping Daryl got saved sometime in between the last time I saw him and when he died. But if he didn't, yeah, it was on him, but it was on me too, because I didn't tell him. I didn't tell one of my best friends about Christ. How could I love Daryl and not tell him? Oh, man, that still eats at me today. See, take the opportunity when you get it. sometimes, like with the upriver side of the dam, sometimes we'll find willing participants in places we don't expect. Nobody's really knocking on the door coming here and saying, hey, tell me about Jesus, are they? No, we gotta go to them. We have to go to them. And sometimes they're in unusual places. Now, what that unusual place is for you, only you know that. Maybe it's work. Maybe it's at the neighborhood bar. Maybe it's at the parade downtown, or at a ball game, or someplace you don't expect. The opportunity to tell them about Jesus presents itself. Bam, you got to take it. Don't hesitate. That's when you tell somebody about the Lord. Let God handle the results. Maybe they listen, maybe they don't. All you can do is cast your lure. It's up to them if they take it. It's up to God. What happens then? You do your job. You leave, get out of the boat and follow me. Yeah? That's what you're supposed to do. And you're not going to get any man by staying in the boat, are we? When those disciples stepped out, their lives changed, and so did a whole lot of others, and so did the world. And we can see that because we're here today. I remember being at Sky Lake in Chesapeake when I was 10 or so probably, and fishing with my grandparents. And there's a little narrow, they call it a neck of the lake. It's off from the big part. It's part of the lake, but there's nothing much in there. And my grandmother said, you're wasting your time casting in there. You're not going to catch anything. Which I took as a challenge, of course, being hard-headed. So I cast in that little shallow stretch of the lake and caught a 5.5-pound catfish. So I, of course, thought, But yeah, sometimes we have to go unexpected places to be fishers of men. And that's kind of fun. When you ask the person in the drive-thru, how can I pray for you today? One of the kids at the disciple, Emery, she asked that at a Sally beauty place out near Target. She asked the woman there, how can I pray for you today? And the woman just broke down in tears. Her son was in the military, and they had this great interaction. So Emery's telling this woman about Jesus. Who would have ever thought you'd do that at the, what do you call that? Beauty store?
Supply house.
Beauty supply? Yeah, you would know that. I knew you were good for some. Talk about me wearing blue. Kathy, we go back and forth with such good nature. So it is good nature, isn't it? We do have fun. We do. Anyway, yeah, she's talking to this woman about Jesus, and one of the most unexpected places you'd ever think to do that. Yeah. So, like I told you before, ask people how you can pray for them. It'll spark people into conversations about the Lord in unusual places. Another time we were fishing, a youth group again, out at Woodlands again, and one of the girls, she was the best youth group student I ever had. Well, she's related to Danielle, Bethany. You know, but yeah, she was the best youth student that I ever had. She's fantastic, led so many people to Christ. But we're fishing. She was a good fisherwoman too, fisher kid, whatever. And we've been catching a lot of fish. And hit a spot there for about half an hour. She didn't catch anything, and she was getting frustrated. So I sat there, she was fishing right next to me at this particular time. I would move my way around the lake with all the kids, you know, so next to her, and she told me, I haven't caught anything in a while. She was frustrated. So I said, okay, let me teach you a new technique. So she'd been throwing her lure out and reeling it straight back in and out and back in. So I said, try this. Throw it out, let the lure sink to the bottom, then reel it up to the top. Sink to the bottom. And keep doing that. And usually when the lure starts to fall, that's when the fish hits. I don't know if she believed me or not, but because she was getting tired. So she threw it out and she let it sink to the bottom, reeled it up to the top, and let it sink, and bam, a bass hit it. And she went, I got one. I did what you said, and I caught a fish. I said, yeah, if you do what I say more often. And she was so happy. Sometimes we have to use a different approach. You know, Jesus, when he talked to the woman at the well, he approached that differently than when he called Peter and the others to come follow me. And that approach was different from when the Canaanite woman was following Jesus and the disciples down the road, and she wouldn't shut up, and she was begging for him to come heal her daughter. And Jesus sounds kind of mean in that story. I'm not going to throw the children's food to the dogs. She says even the dogs eat the crumbs from the master's table. The disciples were telling her, Jesus, tell her to get lost. She's bothering us. Jesus' approach was different, and it was different because, in part, because he wanted to show the disciples something. He wanted to teach them something about persistence. Is one of the lessons in that story. There are more lessons than that, but that's one of the lessons. The woman persisted. She kept on, keeping on. And Jesus healed her child. Now, the various blind men and lame, the man at the pool at Bethsaida was a lot different approach Jesus took to him than to the woman at the well, or the woman following. Sometimes we have to change it up. Just as in fishing, sometimes you have to use a different lure. Catfish don't hit top water lures. They hit the bottom. The approach that might work for one person might not work on another. So you try a different approach. And you could read these stories in the Bible. Look at how Jesus went about leading people to himself. Look at how he changed it up. The message is always the same. We don't change that. What works on Kathy might not work on Annie. Might have to do something different. You see? So be prepared to change up your strategy if you have to. Now with Bethany, that was discipling her. That wasn't just teaching her how to catch a fish. That was discipling her on fishing, changing your techniques and such. It's important for us to disciple as well. Again, the job's not done when we just lead somebody to Christ. Let's disciple them too. Let's get them here. Or get them in a church somewhere. A good church that will teach them about the Lord. And one more. We were fishing up at the same dam up at Eureka. And my oldest son, he was fishing, and all of us on the down riverside. And here he comes. And he has this giant carp. And he's got it all pressed up against his shirt. And he's high-stepping it over the rocks. And he's smiling like the Cheshire Cat. Great big old grin. And I'm thinking, he's going to smell to high heaven. And I've got to take him home in my truck. He was so proud of his carp. And carp are regarded by many as trash fish. We weren't fishing for carp. We were fishing for bass and sauger and walleye and what a are called game fish. Carp are bottom feeders. They eat the things that you don't want to even think about being on the bottom of the Ohio River. They eat the things that other fish deposit on the bottom of the Ohio River. That's carp. There's a vision for you, huh? But he caught it and he was so happy. And sometimes you gotta go on the bottom. You gotta go deep. You have to lead people to Christ. You have to get down in the muck and the mud where it's dark and it's cold and where a lot of people don't want to bother to go in order to catch people that the world says are trash. God doesn't say anyone's trash. They're precious to him. He desires that no one perish. And yeah, the fancy, pretty green bass, it looks a lot prettier than the old dull, muddy carp. But the carp is just as valuable, boy. Figuratively talking about people, of course. Go deep. Get down in the muck and the mud. That's a tough place to be. And that carp, even though he's not a desirable fish for eating or keeping or anything like that, he does pull and tug. He's fun to catch. Well, people are like that too. They will resist. They'll pull and tug. They'll try to get loose. They don't necessarily want to be brought to Jesus sometimes, a lot of times. It's our job to give them the opportunity. And if we have to get dirty and muddy and smelly and go to places that are like that, then let us go to places like that. Because they're worth it. I conclude there's an organization called Fishers of Men. It's fishermen who do ministry. A lot of them are professionals. Their slogan is, you catch them, he'll clean them. That's pretty good, isn't it? That's clever. I wish I could claim that one. But yeah, you catch them, he'll clean them. Your job is to present Jesus to them. He'll clean them up. Hey? Yeah. Hey. You like that? Good. So what do you say this week we go fishing?
Amen.
Amen? That person you thought of when I asked you, do you know anyone who isn't saved? Let's put a lure in front of them. See if maybe they bite it. You? Questions, comments? All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to go fishing.